Good morning, everyone. It's Jennifer here with Clipper Street for Crafty Hour 77. I'm just going to give it a minute here to have everybody hop on and then to also make sure that we are live and everything's in the right place. Okay, I can see the cards here on screen, and let's just give it a minute. Please comment if you're hopping on and joining me today. Perfect. I see a few eyeballs coming up. Excellent. I'm super excited to be sharing another 49 and Market card today. Two cards actually, and they're going to be a little bit interactive. Sorry, just seeing here. Perfect. I can start seeing comments. Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay. Hi, Mary Ellen. Excellent. All right. So hopefully everybody found the homework that Deanna posted on Sunday. There were just a few things that I had wanted you to pull from your various ephemeras and some cardstock and everything. Good morning, Jen, Sharon. Oh, wonderful. Perfect. Excellent. Thank you. So I want to, because I'm doing a couple of interactive cards, I want to get started pretty quickly here. I'll just give it another 30 seconds or so. Make sure we see the numbers climbing here. Excellent. So I tried to do a couple of little different folds this time. I've had some really good feedback that everybody likes trying something a little bit different. I mean, they're not brand new folds or anything, but sometimes it's fun to mix it up from just a regular A2 card. So I have one here that's kind of like a double gatefold, and it'll open up like this. And then the other one here, I've created a Z-fold card with some of the fun acetate. Oh, there we go. Excellent. I see lots of comments. Wonderful. Everything's working. So let's get started. The first thing I am going to do is we're going to work on, this will be card number 1. And as I mentioned, I had asked for some various ephemeras, laser cuts, etc., to be pulled for that. The first thing we're going to do, though, is I had asked you to get a 8.5 by 11 cardstock. I wanted to do the cutting with you, so there was no confusion for that, because the measurement's going to be a little bit different. So your card base is going to be 5.5 by 11. I am using peanut cluster. Craft paper would be great too. This is just a little less warm, a little less orange into it than what craft usually leans. But all of it would work really well with our color palette. I'm just gonna put that up there for you. So what I'm gonna do first is, obviously, I'm just gonna take off the little strip here. There we go. And this is going to be my 8.5 by 11 cardstock. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to want to keep it at 11 inches. And then I'm going to cut it at 5.5. Let's just move that up here. So we're going to move this to 5.5. And we're just going to cut that right off. Okay, so then the next thing that we're going to do is, and I've been taking notes from Courtney, and I've always been doing a sloppy copy now, because that is definitely helpful. So like I said, we now have 5.5 by 11. So what we're going to do is we're now going to do some scoring. So just make sure if you're using your trimmer that has the cutting and the scoring blade, to make sure you're using your scoring. Ask me why I'm giving you that warning. This is what it's going to end up looking like. So we're going to have a fold just like this. So what we're going to do is we're now going to put it down there. We're going to score at 2. So let's line that up right here. We're going to score at 2. I'll get that in there. Then we're going to score at 3 3/4. So we go 3, 3 1/2, 3 3/4. Right there. Then we're going to score at 7 1/4. I'm going to move that over there. I just like to kind of run it back and forth a few times, and then we're going to score at 9. So that's, hopefully you can see kind of the score lines there. So what we're going to do is I want to burnish them because obviously we're going to have it folding different orientations. We have some valley and some mountain folds. So I'm going to give it a really good burnishing with my bone folder. Move this out of the way here. So I like to just make sure kind of bending one way. And I'm going to take it back and bend it this way, just so we can kind of break down those fibers and have it really fold nicely. Same thing with this one. Regardless of the orientation of the fold, I just want to make sure I'm folding it back and forth first so it sits nicely. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing here. Just fold that over. And then fold it back this way. And then the same thing here. Nice little press down there. And that just makes it so much easier for your cardstock to kind of open and close and sit nicely. So what you're going to see is that I'm going to the first score lines, I have a mountain, and then the second ones we're doing a valley when we're folding it. Hopefully that makes sense to everyone. Just like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over, and you can see there's a little bit of an overhang. I'm just going to give it a nice little rub right down there too to burnish it. Same on this side. So again, if you want to take a look, if you're just catching up, those are the measurements for the score lines. There we go. Just let me know if anyone has any questions. But there it is. Just like that, okay? So that's gonna be our card base now. Then I had mentioned that I was going to just have you pull the papers with me. Sometimes I've had a little bit of feedback, people saying that they couldn't really tell exactly what papers, especially when it's very monochromatic with the 49 in Market. So I figured we could just pull them together. So the papers that I'm wanting you to get from your package of papers, there's this one here that almost looks like a little bit of like a netting or a wire kind of mesh. And that's what's on the other side. It has the white hydrangeas along the bottom. We're going to be using this side right here. And then the other paper that I want you to pull is the one that has the butterflies down to the left-hand side of the paper. And on the other side is this kind of dark green with a bit of a texture printed into it. Okay, so those are the two papers that we're going to be needing. Just going to double check and make sure there's no other questions. Okay, perfect. Wonderful. Okay, so now is the fun part. Here's the cutting that we're going to do for the papers. I'm going to start with this one here first. And then the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take it along the 8-inch side right here. And we're going to cut it at 4 1/4. I'm just going to take my little guillotine trimmer for this one. Or sorry, we're going to cut it at 5 1/4. I apologize. I'm sorry. I said 4 1/4, didn't I? So along the 8-inch side, 5 1/4. I'm going to put that right up here. Hopefully you can see that there. So we're going to take that right here and we're going to do 5 1/4. So just right up at 5 1/4. Let's just cut that right along there. So then we're going to turn it to the 6-inch side. And then what we're going to do along the 6-inch side is we're going to cut it at 1 3/4. So the 6-inch side, we're going to cut it at 1 3/4, and I'm going to do that twice. So I'm going to take it along here, and I'm going to go to 1 3/4. I'm going to cut that strip. And we're going to take the same piece, and we're going to do the same thing. Cut it again at 1 3/4, just right there. And these are going to be our pieces that are going to go on the front here, just on there. Okay, so then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to, and what I'm going to get you to do actually is just keep this piece, this end piece here. We're going to use that later on because we're going to end up cutting just a little strip from the inside there. So let's just set that one aside here as well. And I'm going to put that over here. So then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut the pieces for the inside right here. So we're just using a little bit of cardstock from this piece right here. So what I did first is, again, I cut this at 5 1/4 along the 8-inch side. What we're doing here, same thing. We're going to do 5 1/4 along the 8-inch side. I'm going to take that right there and cut it just along there. Let me get that lined up there. 5 1/4. Perfect. Okay. So now we're going to rotate the cardstock, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut this completely in half. So that's going to cut it in half. So I'm going to cut it 3 inches, which will cut it in half. So it'll be at, I'm going to cut that right in half. And then for the inside, I use this piece, which is what is in here. If you want to use this side and have the butterflies on either side, that's totally up to you. I'm just going to use this one right here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut this one in half. So we're going to cut it at 1 1/2. So we're going to cut it at 1.5 inches. Right there. And then you're going to be left with your strips to go in on the inside here, just like that. Now what you'll notice, and I apologize as I had failed to mention that you're going to need a little bit of white cardstock. So not the end of the world if you don't have one handy, but it's just to go on the inside. So you're going to want a piece of white cardstock at 5 1/4 by 3 1/4, and that's just going to fit on the inside right here. You don't have to put that in there. You can just kind of decorate the plain cardstock if you want, but that is the size that's going to go in there. So if you have some white cardstock handy, if you want to cut it at 5 1/4 by 3 1/4, that would be for the inside there. So we're going to put those along there. And then remember how I said to hang on to this piece right here? And that's the one that's going to go down along the bottom of the white cardstock. What I'd like you to do with this piece is cut it at 1.5. And then we're going to cut it at 3 1/4. You can see that right there, 3 1/4. And all that's going to do is we're going to tear that later, and it's just going to go along the bottom of the white cardstock. Okay, so let's get this out of the way here. What we should have is our strips like this, and then we have a white piece, which again is 5 1/4 by 3 1/4. And then we've got this little piece here that we've cut, and that is 3 1/4 by 1.5. And that's the one that we're going to end up tearing a little piece off afterwards. So what we're going to do now is I will set these aside. And then let's just start putting the papers on our card base. And then what we'll do is we'll start building up our clusters and our front focal point here. I did mention as well, which is totally like optional. I did some inking along my cardstock just to give it a little bit of depth. So what I used was salted caramel from 49 & Market. I was kind of looking at comparables too. Tim Holtz, the tea stain or the tea dye, that color is really, really similar. It's just like kind of a warm brown. Medium warm brown. So all I'm going to do is really quickly, I'm just going to give this a little bit of zhuzhing up with some ink blending. And everyone's still doing okay? Oh, thank you, Kathy. I see your comment there now. Looking forward to you doing them later. I think with Crafty Hour, one of the best things is that it is obviously on demand as well. So you definitely don't have to do it exactly when we're doing it. You can do it when it fits your schedule, as all are posted on our YouTube channel afterwards. And then also too, it's just about taking a little bit of time, just an hour set aside to do just a little crafting for you. And if you didn't end up getting the kit, that's totally okay. You can take these ideas and work with what you have. But it's just for some fun and a little bit of crafty release. Okay, I'm gonna put that along there. And same thing. I'm just kind of inking along. And the other thing you could do too, if you would wanted to, is you could absolutely mat these pieces just with like 1/8 of an inch more to give it just a little bit of framing too. I decided to go the inking route. And yes, don't forget that tomorrow we have another Crafty Hour release like we always do on Fridays after our Crafty Hours. So make sure to sign up for that. What you can do is you can get the notifications. If you just click that you're going to the event, you'll get the notification as soon as Deanna goes live, and it's definitely a not to be missed one as well. Really excellent value. Okay, so we've just done a little bit of inking along here. This is the boring part. Let's do a little bit of that. All right, so let's get our pieces glued on here so then we can do the fun part and arranging all our little bits and bobs. I'm just going to use my liquid glue. Obviously, you can use whatever your favorite adhesive is. I am a huge fan of the glue press. It is definitely one of those tools that now that I have, I cannot do without. I was super excited when I saw that we had gotten some more in. Makes an excellent Christmas present too. So those of you that don't have it yet, make sure that you get that put on your list. Okay, I'm gonna put that there. So again, this is very, very just basic, doing your gluing and attaching. And you could also too, if you wanted it kind of more monochromatic, you can flip it over and you could just use the dark green. Again, whatever you like. There are no rules in crafting. Let's put that one in there. And this one in here. There we go. And then as I mentioned, on the inside, there is that white piece of cardstock that I added in. And that was 5 1/4 by 3 1/4. I'm going to take just a little bit of ink along that too. I'm just using the little mini ink blending tool from Ranger. I find that these work well, even the larger ones, but just like the foam blenders work really well for doing edges. Let's get that in there. I will glue that in there. So then now this is our card base here. This little piece, I just kind of took it and tore it. And then kind of, sorry, I don't have great nails, so I'm gonna flick it with this. You don't, you might not want to do that. You can take your bone folder and kind of run it along there. But I just kind of tore it up a little bit, and then what I did do is I just did a little bit of glue along the outer edges and the bottom, because I created this so it can be a bit of a pocket if you want to pop in like a little gift card. We're gonna pop that right in there. I made this one a little bit higher up. This one will fit the gift card, but once I created this prototype, I decided that I liked it to have it up a little bit. And then you can kind of fold this down a bit. But again, it's only going to be attached on the bottom and the outside edges. And then that way you can put something in there. Okay, now to the fun part, all the decorating. So these were items that I had asked for you to pull out of the laser cuts, and there was an ephemera pack. Now, one thing after I had posted the homework, I kind of added something else in, and that was one of these clips. I don't think that was in the picture. I kind of fiddled around with the design for a bit, and then this larger one was super fun to be able to kind of create a little bit of a closure. So that was on these, that was in your terracotta laser elements. So I'm just going to pop out one of those. And then I had asked for this outside piece. Now, again, with these, there are not doubles. So for my card today, I'm just going to be using the green one, but it was this one here that I had mentioned to take out for your homework. And then there was also these leaves. And then the little green paper clip. This here, they were attached together like that. So I'm just going to use the other one today. The My Heart Belongs to You is the one I used on this one. Oh, Sharon, you were asking what's the name of the event? Oh, it'll just be up that you want to attend the Crafty Hour release. Deanna has posted it, I believe, in both Crafty Hour Creations as well as on our Facebook page that you want to join. There you go. Okay. And then there were these. There were two. I had asked, so what I'll want you to do is to pull out on your sheet. It was the sheet here. They were kind of attached up along the top here. I think that one was there. So I had used this one. And then we're going to be using some words and stuff here from this sheet. Okay. Then there was also lots of little bits and bobs here. And I had asked for the tickets. And then also these little pieces. And then there was this here of the acetate leaves. And like I said, these were all the ones that were pictured. But I know I said I would just to have your rub-ons ready so I could show you which ones I wanted you to use. And again, I'm going to be using a different sentiment because there are no duplicates. I'm going to use that today. Then there was another piece on here, which is this rub-on here. And I just cut off a piece of that and used it here. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're just going to take a little bit of it and put it on the outside. There we go. Okay, so now let's start putting some things together. Oh, and of course, I did ask, which I think if you've done any of the crafty hours from me, you know that I do love my linen thread or natural twine. So we're going to be using some of that as well. So let's get started. I'm going to move these over to the side. Sorry, they're not a very pretty pile, but it's what works. And I'm going to put that there so you can kind of see where it is in behind. All right. Again, I always use my bone folder when I am using my rub-ons. You can use whatever tool you find works the best for you. And I'm just gonna, let's see, this one's just a little bit of a different shape, but it totally works. I'm just gonna put that on here. Put that right there. And we're just gonna burnish that on. It's a great thing about the 49 at Market rub-ons. They just go on so beautifully. And they just add a little extra detail without adding bulk, which is nice. Peel off there. That's the other thing too, you can always just have a little peek to make sure it's all transferred, and if not, just give it another little rub. But they go on very, very, very easily. There we go. There we have that there. I also mentioned to have some foam squares because we're gonna build up the side piece here. And then also I put a little bit of dimension on the front. Now, first thing, I'm going to grab this piece here. I've just, and again, obviously it's a little bit different because this one is up at the top and this one is at the bottom. Let's see how we're gonna do this. We'll just put that here, and then I'll have the leaves kind of poking out along the top there. It'll just be a little bit different. Oh, thank you so much, Sharon. I always try to come up with something a little bit different, but I'm sure as people have done crafty hours with me, I kind of have a particular style when it comes to my 49 at Market. There we go. Oh, thank you so much, Evelyn. That's very kind. I can't wait to see what you do with it. You're always coming up with such creative ideas. Okay, so we're gonna put that on there. Now, what I did as well, this is another thing that I absolutely love. Totally not necessary. But when I attached this, I used a couple of tiny staples. So this is the Tim Holtz Tiny Attacher. I have had this in my crafting arsenal since I started scrapbooking, oh gosh, like 18 years ago. It's one of my favorites, and it is held up to the test of time for sure. So I just added that as a little bit of detail here, but again, absolutely not necessary. What I am gonna do though, is I'm going to also take a little bit of ink, and I'm gonna ink a little bit along these edges too, and that's tying in that nice kind of caramel color here. We'll rub a little bit along that one. But again, if you prefer to have nice kind of stark white, definitely this is not something you need to do. I just find it kind of ties together with these colors. All right, gave that a little bit there. So what we're gonna do now is we are going to build our base here. So what I used for that is we have our little tickets. And I just basically kind of played around until I kind of got them where I liked them, which kind of did them like that. Now, what you can do to add these in, I just put them like right on top of each other and then attach them afterwards with some thin foam to the base. But I just kind of figure out where I like it. You can use glue then to kind of pop in underneath. I do this sometimes just if I like where I'm starting to see it. So I'm just going to put a little bit in there. Another thing too that works really well, and this was a tip I learned from Deanna, I've started using repositionable adhesive, which is fantastic, especially when you're not sure exactly where you want something. You're able to just kind of put it down, move it around a little bit until you find that kind of perfect placing. So we've got that right there. Okay, so I'm going to put those together like that. Then I brought in this little piece here. Now, a lot of times with acetate, and what I've kind of shown and talked about in the past is using the adhesive dots. That's a great way to kind of put, I'm going to grab one here. To attach your acetate. Just going to stick a little piece in the back here. We're going to put those together. But as I mentioned too, with the tiny attacher, I also sometimes will just take that to attach my cluster together. Just going to put that right there. Because what's going to happen is this is just going to go over top of that anyways, just like that. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to attach our leaf. Like that. Bring that down a little bit. The shape is just facing the opposite way with this one. I am going to put my little staples. Let's see, I'll do them. Just put them just there, like that. Just adds a little something. And then what we're gonna do here is I just used some foam. Now, me personally, a lot of times I use the thinner foam squares. You can use whatever ones you want. I'm gonna take a few and just kind of pop them on the back here. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take, so I'm just gonna stick like 3 back there. I'm gonna take a bit of my natural thread here, and I'm just gonna I wrap it around my hands 3 or 4 times. I'm gonna trim that. And then all I'm gonna do is just kind of pinch that together, just like that. I'm gonna find my other end here. Pull that up there. And then you kind of just want to make like a little bit of a nest kind of where, however you want it to kind of land. You don't, there's nothing, there's no real art to this. And then I'm gonna grab a glue dot here, and I'm just gonna stick that in behind the thread. I'm just gonna kind of put that in there. And you can just kind of arrange how you want it. Put a little more on it this time. So we're just gonna do that, and then we're just gonna put our cluster down. And then what I did is I actually took the foam and put, because I'm going to put this across here, I just put the foam on the ends. And because it's built up also with the thread there, I'm gonna put this right along here. And we're just gonna put that right along here. Just like that. And then let's trim off a little bit about this thread here. There we go. So we have it there. Okay. I need to get moving here. We're gonna open this up and you're gonna see on this side, I took, and then I just kind of cut these pieces apart. So let's do that. Let's kind of cut the clusters. Again, this is going to be facing a different way than the one that I had asked you to pull out. Well, let's cut those. So all I did was take a little bit, which you can see here, of this. And we're going to put that right here. Go. So that just gives like a little bit of detailing there. And then I'm just going to put this, just kind of tuck that in there. As you can see on here, I did add some more rub-on. So I used the Adored and I used the So Very Thankful on the side. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of these, which I'm going to put these together just like that. And I'm just going to put them on the side up here, which you can see there. I'll just get that in there. And then for this side, I actually used the full size, the regular profile of the foam. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it right along here. And then we just don't wanna put it over too far. And get that along there. Those. Okay, and then we're going to line that up right along here. We're just going to want it, let me just move that over just a smidge here. I'm going to have it kind of, because what we're going to do is we're going to add in this little clip. And this little clip, as you can see, will hold this piece just like that. So I want to take a look and I want to see where that's going to go. There we go. So we're going to see how that's going to fit like that, just like that. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece here. And we're going to take our little leaves, take a few more. And we'll put those there. Again, this is going to be a little bit different. We're just going to put those. And then this one, I use the foam strip. So I just took a piece of foam strip and put that right along here. And we're just gonna, oops, be hopeful if I put it on the right side. There we go. I'm gonna use the darker side. So that is going to go on here, and then we're just gonna press that down there. That should move this over a little bit. So what I like to do is kind of close the card up to kind of see where this needs to go, and then just press that down. And then it's like that. There you go. And then on the inside, I just added in this little piece here with a bit of foam. But I'm gonna move on to the next card because I don't have a ton of time. This one was a little bit more involved. So there you go. Okay, perfect. Let's set these aside, and then we're gonna go to the next one. So for the next one, what I need you to do is take out your card base, and I had mentioned that you needed 2 pieces of this paper. One was for the first card, one is for the second card. You should also have from the original card, when we cut this one here at 5 1/2, there was an off piece. So I want you to grab that. It was when we cut this card here. And what I'm going to get you to do as well is grab these 2. So there is a kind of floral pattern on one side, and then there's this here. So we're going to use this side, and then this one here that has the lighter green texture, and that is what is on the other side. These are the 2 sides that we're going to use. So for your card base, first going to just cut off my little strip here. And then I'm going to cut that at, sorry, just give me 1 second. I think hang on 1 sec. Yeah, I'm sorry, that should say 4 1/4. I was like, I know it's a regular card base, so that should be 4 1/4. I'm gonna write that on there right now. So just a regular card base, 4 1/4, because this is gonna be my prototype right here. So you'll see that that is cut at 4 1/4. So we're just cutting this in half along the 8 1/2 inch side. There we go. So we're gonna have this one piece here, and then we're going to score it. So let's move up the scoring blade. We're going to do is the same that we've done to this card here. I just want to double check the measurement on this. It should be, yeah. So we're going to score at 2 3/4 and at 5 1/2. So we're doing 2 3/4 and at 5 1/2. So what we're going to do now is we want to make sure that we burnish it just like we did with our other folds. So I'm gonna, and just back and forth. Just again so that it has nice movement. And we're done here. Okay, so now we've got our card base. So now that we've got our card base, what we want to do is we want to cut our pattern paper. It's going to be these two here. Now, as I mentioned as well, you've got this other piece from card number 1. What I'm going to get you to do actually is we'll cut this first before we start cutting the pattern paper. What we need to do for that one is we need to cut it. I'm going to get this out here. And we are going to cut that. It's your leftover piece at 2 1/4. So right here, that's the leftover from card number 1. We just want to cut it to 2 1/4. Oh no, Brenda, your power's been out. That's not good. Okay, put that right there. And oops, we want to cut, not score. There we go. And then for our strip piece, we are going to score it. Sorry. Just wanted to double check what the measurements were on that. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to score at 5 1/2. So we're going to go to 5 1/2. Make sure you have your score. And at 8 1/4. So that is, just write that down here. We're going to score at 5 1/2 and 8 1/4. And the strip is 2 1/4 by 11. Sorry, I didn't have a poster for that one. There you go. Okay, we'll just go back and forth on that one there. There we go. So same thing, we're gonna take this. And we're just gonna give this some scoring back and forth. There we go. So what's going to happen is this is going to fit. Just fold that here. That is just going to fit across. All right, so what we're going to do now is we are going to cut the paper for that. So the pattern papers, I'm going to do the first one here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to take this one, and along the 8-inch side, we're going to cut at 5 1/4. that there. So right here, we're gonna cut along the 8-inch side and we're gonna cut it to 5 1/4. Now we're gonna turn it to the 6-inch side. So this is my 6-inch side. And for the 6 inches, we're gonna cut at 2. And then we're gonna cut at 2 again. Cut that one right there. Okay, sorry, I have mixed up the instructions here. What did I do? I apologize. Yes, I totally... Let's see. Oh no, okay, never mind, I'm sorry. I was getting mixed up with the other one. Okay, we are going to use that on this front one. Then this one, goodness gracious. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna cut the other one at 2 1/2. So I'm gonna take this other piece and we're gonna cut it at 2 1/2. And same here at 2 1/2. Okay, there we go. That is going to be those pieces there. Move that over here. Sorry, I was reading the cutting instructions for the other pattern paper. So here we go. So that is going to be like that. This is our card base. And then the next thing we need to do is we need to have our other pattern paper, which is this one right here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cut I'm going to cut the paper in half. So we'll put that there. So we're going to cut this paper right in half. We're going to cut that right at 4 inches. Okay. And then what we're going to do with this one here, we're going to cut it so I have 2 1/2. So let's move that to there. Cut that right there. And then we're going to cut it so I have 2 1/2. Just like that. So now we have these two pieces. And these pieces are going to go right on here, just like that. Okay. So then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this piece, and with this one along the 6-inch side, we are going to cut it at 5 1/4. I'll put that right there. So we're going to take that and we are going to cut it at 5 1/4. So we're going to have a piece that is 4 by 5 1/4. So you can see that here, that's 4 by 5 1/4. And that is going to go on the inside of our card, just like that. All right. So now what we need to do is we need to get our bits and pieces, because I am under the gun here. Okay, so I had asked for a piece of the lace. One thing I did add in as well, as I realized I hadn't had the little tag there. And then I mentioned that I used Deanna's rectangle. It was these nesting squares, and it was the fourth one right here, which measures, I believe it was what did I end up putting let's double check here. I think it was 2 1/4. Let's see. 2 1/2. So like I said, you could definitely do a square at 2 1/2 by 2 1/2. I'm going to use this one here. And that was these ones. Okay, so I'm just basically going to get to the mechanics of the card, just so we can kind of put it together, because I don't have a ton of time. But you can see here where everything is. I think the most important part is to try to get these pieces put together so I can tell you kind of how those worked. So these were the acetate pieces. Again, from your rub-ons, I used some words. I used the heartfelt on the tag, and I used the thanks that came out of this one right here. And there was a heartfelt. I also used these. That was a strip piece from the rub-ons, which I believe was on this one right here. So I just cut little pieces. There's all sorts of different ones there that you can use. I put a little bit of it in behind here. So I just took one and kind of put it up in the top part there, and I took another one and put it kind of down here, just to kind of put that together. Give it another good little rub there. Sorry, I'm going to be just a couple of minutes over just to kind of show you how everything went together here. So let's get all our pieces. There was not another small one, so I'm just going to trim this one. Just kind of trim this one off. Put that in there. There we go. I just kind of did it like that there. I'll take a look right here. So I'm gonna quickly put the pieces on here. Let's get that going. And then you can kind of see how it glues together. So this one on here. And then we're going to use, and then we'll grab this one, put that on there. Okay, so your card base, the pieces that we used here, this one went on the front. Glue that there. This one here. There we go. Sorry, everyone, I'm kind of going in warp speed here. And then this one went in here. Just like that. Okay, perfect. There we go. So it just goes like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to attach this right along the bottom here. So we're just going to line that up and attach. Let's get this. Oh, it's a little bit crooked. That's all right. Then we're going to attach this. So what you're going to want to do is put glue on this piece here, and we're going to line it up along here, and then we're going to fold this down and line this one up right along there. So you can actually just take, if you want, your glue along this piece here. And we're just gonna fold that right over and just have that attached. So then we're gonna have it open like this. So when I put these pieces on the front, I did take a little bit of ink, kind of inked around it. And then I did on this one, you can see, I did put a little bit of gold splatter and a little bit of gems. That's totally up to you. And I distressed kind of the corners of the pattern paper. But for this one, I also took this little flower and that kind of tucked right in there. And then your piece of lace is going to go. So it is kind of wonky, which is totally fine. I just lined it up and kind of trimmed it to where it needed to go. Just like that. And then just used some glue on the back and kind of just put it in between where the details are. Oh, it just went like that. Now for this, I did use some foam on the back here. And I took some linen thread and wrapped it around and put the little tag. I hung the tag off here, which you can see, and then just placed, again, using just some low profile foam tape, and tucked this little piece in here. I put your little tag on, and then this piece was attached with foam tape, again, just on the one side. We just want to put it on this one side right here. So that's going to go there. What I do want to show you, and then I will be signing off, is these pieces here. I use glue dots and just attached them in behind. And I'll put the photos up in Crafty Hour Creations, just like that. So then when it folds up, it is going to all kind of lay together. And then I had a little butterfly there as well that kind of went in behind. So that's kind of, but I'll leave it at that. I think you can kind of get the idea of how everything went together. Sorry for running out of time there, but if there's any questions, you can always post them in the Crafty Hour Creations, and I'll get everything put up there for you. The other little detail that I did put on this one is I did use a little bit of Wink Stella on my butterfly and put a little bit on the flower here as well. So that's how it comes together, just like that. So hopefully you enjoyed Crafty Hour today. Crafty Hour in 7 minutes. Yeah, like I said, if you have any questions or anything, you can always post them in the Crafty Hour Creations, and I'll be sure to get these photographed and put up in there for you. But these are our finished cards. Please don't forget to tune into Courtney this evening. She is at 5 o'clock Pacific time, and I'm sure she will have some fantastic creations. And again, thank you for joining us at Crafty Hour. We love being able to do these. I know Courtney and Deanna work really hard to curate these kits so everybody can have an affordable way to get creative and to get some ideas. And again, Crafty Hour is released tomorrow morning, so be sure to find that event and click that you will be attending. You'll be notified right away when Deanna goes live. Thanks so much, everybody. Thank you for joining me, and I cannot wait to see your creations. Have a great day.